Hey guys, I'm sorry if you hear my camera trying to focus in autofocus, but I don't have somebody here to help me focus it, so I have it on like continuously autofocusing. So I just wanted to do like a midterm nursing update. So basically we are about halfway through the semester and I'm doing very well actually. So I just kind of wanted to talk about what I was doing. Mainly, I wanted to talk about Med-Surg today because it's kind of where a lot of people have a lot of troubles with, and that's basically what my study group and I kind of focus on is Med-Surg. So, basically at the beginning of class, in our syllabus we get one of these, which is basically just like a module outline. And it just has some questions on it, and it tells us what chapters we're doing and all that other stuff. So, and then it has like learning outcomes. So basically what I do with these, within my study group, a few of us split them up because sometimes they're kind of long, sometimes they're kind of short. So we'll split them up between each other. And then, usually we try to do this before the lecture because then we can have it all printed out, and I just put mine in like a plastic sleeve because I'm anal. So, and then we kind of highlight what she goes over, or if we got it wrong, we'll change it up. But basically, module outlines is just basically nice to do before the lecture because then she'll, or our teacher, it means that we kind of already looked over the material a little bit, so we kind of know what she's talking about and can answer questions. And then basically what I do is basically flow sheets or flow charts, however you want to say it. This is basically how I learn how to study. It's basically a lot of writing out things, basically learning how you study. Like, I'm a very big listening to people. So basically I do a lot of listening to a lecture in class. We don't really go off a PowerPoint. She just kind of lectures from the book. So basically I'll have this ginormous book. I'll have this ginormous book open. This is our Med-Surg book. And we'll be using it this semester and next semester. So I have that book open, and she'll basically be flipping through the pages and talking about what she thinks is important. So I go ahead and highlight that. Then later I'll go through like the actual disease processes that we're talking about, or something like this one is dehydration. So I have dehydration here. I'll do what causes the dehydration. And then this was just like a cute little saying that they had in the book. It's a pint is a pound around the world. So that I could remember that a pint equals a pound. Nursing diagnosis, so basically what we need to be worried about and what their goals are. Signs and symptoms, some tests, and therapeutic measures. And then this one is like fluid access. This one has a lot more because there are some drugs involved. So this one I kind of started drawing on in the middle of class because I got bored. But then like you have like hypernatremia, and these ones I just kind of did out in pencil. Nothing too dramatic. Some of them I filled in while we were talking about them in class. And then these ones I have the values on them. So I have hypo and hyper magnesia. So that's basically how I do those. Then we get the chapter that we just finished and just took a test on, and I got an A on it, is we did the urinary system. So like that was renals, your bladder, and your kidneys, and all that other stuff. So basically in the beginning of every chapter they have the aging system. So this one kind of broke up into 4 different parts. So your bladder, females, kidneys, and males. And then it kind of broke up from there. And I like to rewrite these just to have in my book, so when I am studying, like, you know, I can think like big picture. You know, what is going on with the kidneys? Obviously, you're losing nephrons, your GFR is decreasing, you know, stuff like that. In females, your pelvic floor is weakening, and in males, the prostate enlarges. So it's just like a big picture thing. And then this was just like all the diagnosis tests that we needed to know. So I basically just wrote them all on one page. I really wasn't sure how to put them all on one page, but I did it this way and it worked. With the textbook, there are 2 other textbooks. Actually 3 other textbooks that I tend to use. With our book came like a little workbook, and I haven't actually done much in this just because it has, let me go to, okay. So like this is the endocrine system. So it'll have like questions and things to fill out, little matchy, and then like anatomy. So like if I was having trouble like figuring out, you know, what the nephron actually looked like, there is a chapter for that in here. And then it just has questions. I mainly use this for the more of the questions and stuff like that. So that is that. And I do use the online Davis, which is the book that we bought. It's a Davis book. So I do use the online resource every now and then because it does have great audio and like visual things to look at. Then we also have our ATI book. I do use the online ATI tests. That's how we do take some of our tests, is with ATI. So with this book, basically, it's just like a giant overview. Like this one is GIs. So it goes into like blood tests. Goes through like fecal blood tests and all that other stuff. So it's basically like an outline for the Davis book. And sometimes it goes into more detail and not, but then it has like NCLEX style questions at the end of the book and rationales. So basically, after I've gone through the chapters and made my flowcharts and have kind of retained some of the information, or at least what I think I've retained, I'll go ahead and go to our ATI book, do the questions. Usually I do this in a study group. We do have a study group. We do meet once or twice before a test to kind of make sure we're all on the same page and understand what happened in class and what she said in class. And we'll go through a lot of test questions through this book or on Kaplan, which is one of our other online resources. So we'll go and do those together as a group and kind of discuss the question and what we think the answers are and all that other junk. So we'll go ahead and do that, and then just go through the rationales of what if we got it wrong and stuff like that. However, I do love these books quite a lot. Then the last book, which we have just started using, is our actual NCLEX book. We've just been doing these for the questions. The pre-side to it is kind of like scary. So, because it's kind of like, for like the renal, it was like 5 or 6 pages. So it basically just goes like an overview of like the anatomy and how everything works and some of the diseases. And then, I don't think we're into questions yet. No, but like this is like continuous, just like charts and stuff. So it gets kind of really, really in depth, you know, going into hemodialysis and stuff like that. So, but they do have questions in here, and it does have an online resource called Evolve, because that's Sanders, Evolve, what is it, Elsevier. So it does have an online resource which gives us like three like NCLEX style like complete tests. So, but since we're not ready for a complete test, this book has like over each little system test style questions. So we go ahead and try those. Sometimes they have a lot of drugs that we don't necessarily know, so we go ahead and look them up in our drug book or look them up on Google. So tend to do that. And right now I have an 84% average in the class, and that's basically how we do our grading system. To sit for finals, you have to have a true 75. If y'all don't remember me talking about this last year, I will leave a little card right here and let you hear me talk and rant about true 75s. But right now, in Med-Surg I have an 85 or an 84, either one. But then in fundamentals I have a 90, and I'll make another video of how I study for fundamentals because it's not as in-depth as it is for Med-Surg. So, because that class I just find really easy to take now, because before that was the class that I failed, so I'm not really sure what clicked in my brain. I actually had a lot of thoughts and feelings about that, so I want to make another video about that. Now basically, I have a Med-Surg test on, it's not for like another week and a half. So basically I'm just making my flowcharts and stuff like that and preparing for it, but not really studying too hard just yet because we do have a fundamentals test on Monday. So today's Friday, so I'll kind of look over the material today and tomorrow, and then Sunday we have a study group and we'll go through test questions and stuff like that for the test. And she does put out blueprints for our test, but basically they're like NCLEX blueprints. If I had one printed off I would show you, but it tells our class name and stuff like that and has our logo on it, so kind of want to keep that private. So basically we get blueprints that say, like, you know, priority questions, how many priority questions there's going to be, how many tests, how many questions are going to be on the test. This test is going to be on the computer. We've gone back and forth between computer tests and paper/Scantron tests. I prefer the computer because that's how we're going to be taking our board test. So I feel like with the paper tests, you can always go back and look at your questions if you weren't really sure about it. However, on the computer test, she can monitor how long we're sitting on a question, so that we can kind of gauge, you know, how fast we're answering questions and stuff like that. So she can kind of help us be like, hey, either slow down and, you know, kind of review, you know, like double read the question, or, you know, you kind of need to pick it up a little bit. So I kind of like that, but that's how I kind of deal with my paper test, is I kind of look at the question, read the question, look at the answers, and basically go with my gut feeling, and then I'll go back and reread the question. And if my gut still says that's the answer, then I move on and I don't ever look back at it. I'm trying to think of anything else. Y'all have seen my planner multiple times. It has not changed. I still plan out basically everything. I plan out what chapters I'm going to read. I try to read them before we even sit in class, or just, even if I'm not going to look at, like, read them, I try to look at the headers or anything that's bolded before we get in class. I am planning to do a, like, day in the life of a nursing student, so that will come soon. So go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, because low-key my life is crazy because I'm also still planning my wedding, so a lot of that has come together quite nicely, and finals are coming up, and so is Thanksgiving, and I'm ready for food in my stomach. But that's all I really got for Med-Surg. It's basically, for me, it's just repetition of writing things out. Really don't do much on the computer besides the learning modules, or learning outcomes, or whatever you want to call them. I'm more of like a continuously writing person, so I have lots of highlighter colors, I have lots of pen colors, and basically just writing it out in repetition. In study group, I kind of run the study group, because after I've understood the knowledge, I like to teach it. So, and that's basically how I learn. So I'm teaching my cats, well, I don't have a cat, I'm teaching my dogs. I'm teaching Patrick, even though he sometimes doesn't understand what I'm talking about. So my study group is basically where I kind of lay out my knowledge, and help anybody who's not really understanding what's going on. And that's basically just how I learn. So yeah, that's basically it. Thanks for watching.